Paulsego. You know, I still remember the first time I saw one of your videos. It was the parody that you did of One Less God, when One Less God and I were having our big epic flame war in 2006, and I liked your video so much I featured it, and I never guessed back then that you would take on such a life of your own and become such a prominent fixture here on YouTube, which you really have. You've become a not a household name, but you know. Well, you know, this Polanoia video that you just made. Love the title, by the way, Polanoia. It really feels like it feels to me anyway like you've kind of come full circle and gotten to a place in your life that I'm familiar with, all too familiar with. Now, I kind of had a hard time, I'm going to level with you here, Paul, I kind of had a hard time deciding how much of your video I thought was genuine and how much was just a put-on. Because when you got to the end of the video and you started talking about how nothing can get better until people get mad, I was like, come on, is he really doing the soliloquy from Network again? Only this time not telling the audience that it's the soliloquy from Network? You know, I don't know what to do about it. The depression and inflation and the Russians and the crime in the streets. All I know is that first you've got to get mad. I was like, come on, Paul, really? Really, is that what you're doing? But you know, I still recognized genuine angst and existential discomfort, I guess I would call it, in your video. I recognized the suffering of a kindred soul. You know, and the reason I recognized that is that about a year ago I went through the same thing that you're going through now. Which makes sense, because whereas you are a 31-year-old a cynical, disaffected slacker, I am a 32-year-old cynical, disaffected slacker. So, you know, I rounded this corner before you did. And maybe it's sadistic, it probably is, but watching you go through the same thing that I went through myself, it's kind of amusing to me. It's kind of cute. I find it cute. I know that sounds really patronizing, and it is. But I do. It's just kind of funny to me to see you going through this. And you know, I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure what my motivation is in making this reply. I don't know if it's motivated by concern for a friend, you know, me wanting to give you the answer that you need, or if it's motivated by sadism and you know, a desire to give you the hard truth that you probably already know deep down and you're afraid to face. And I want to just put that ugly truth in your face and just rub it in real good and make you get a big whiff. Smell it. Yeah, it's going to be I don't know why I like doing that to people. It really is sadistic. But I'm going to give you the answer, Paul. See, you said that, you know, when you were in high school, you had some close friends, you had a little social circle, but now that you're 31, you only have two close confidants apart from your wife, and you just feel isolated from the rest of society. You feel like an outcast. And the reason that you feel that way is because you can't identify with most people's taste in entertainment, which you find to be banal, unfulfilling, and insulting to your taste. But everybody else loves it, and you just feel isolated. And also for political reasons. You know, you're really angry about the injustice, and you're really angry about the direction that your society's going in, and no one else seems to care quite as much as you do. So, am I the one who's crazy, or has society come unhinged? That's the place that you're at right now. I've been there, buddy. I really have been there myself, and I feel your pain. I feel your pain. But I'm about to rub salt in the wound and make it worse. Because, see, the thing is, Paul, the interesting thing about sanity is it's defined by consensus. Society can't go mad. There's a reason why, if I believe that Jesus Christ talks to me, they're not going to lock me in a mental asylum. Whereas if I believe that my 2002 Ford Focus talks to me, I would get put away. And that's because thousands of people believe that they have a personal relationship with Jesus, and not too many people believe they have a personal relationship with their automobile. Consensus defines what sanity is. So, in other words, if you didn't think Hot Tub Time Machine was the cutest, funniest thing you've ever seen, if you're not entertained to death by Lost and Dancing with the Stars, if even if you have a really big problem with the Patriot Act and the National Defense Authorization Act and police brutality in the streets, you're the one who's crazy. You're the one who's wrong. And I'll actually take it a step further. Paul, you're a villain. You are the bad guy. You're Cruella de Vil from 1001 Dalmatians. You're or was it 101? Whatever. You're the evil queen from Snow White. You're Jafar from Aladdin. You are the bad guy. And well, so many movie references in this. This is what happens when two actors talk on the internet. I got to make another one though. Do you remember Falling Down with Michael Douglas? That was one of my favorite movies when I was a kid. I rented it over and over again, back when you had to rent stuff instead of just stealing it. My favorite line was when Robert Duvall, who plays the cop, is arresting Michael Douglas at the end of the movie, and Michael Douglas says, "I'm the bad guy," and Robert Duvall says, "Yeah, you're the bad guy." And he says, "How'd that happen?" With this genuine confusion in his face. It happens like this, Paul. You stray from the flock. All of my heroes, and it's a short list, my personal role models, are rebels. That short list includes Henry David Thoreau, Jack Kevorkian, Timothy McVeigh. Now, some people can agree with some of these choices. There's some. I know I'm not the only one out there who thinks of Jack Kevorkian as a hero, for example. A lot of people understand how he's like a champion for individual, civil liberties. McVeigh, on the other hand, not a big fan club. Not a lot of support out there. I tell most people that, and they look at me like I'm a monster, and I suppose I am. But so are you, Paul. That's the point. I reached the same point that you reached about a year ago. Like I said. I'm not sure what it was that made it hit home for me. I think I started to figure out that most of the bitching that my fellow social critics were doing was just kind of for show. It's like, I would talk about, man, we need to form up a militia and just take down these abusive cops that don't respect the Constitution and and beat protesters. We need to shine up the guillotine and just get these Wall Street motherfuckers' heads cut off. Let's have some action, people. Direct action. Let's do. And everybody's like, whoa, are you crazy? Violence? A smooth terrorist? That's insane. What's wrong with you? You're a bad person. And then it hit home for me. It's like, well, none of these guys are serious. All these self-styled activists and social critics, they're all full of shit. None of them have not even the courage of their convictions. They're just not in earnest at all. They're putting on a show. It's like they bitch about the Patriot Act because it's cool to bitch about the Patriot Act, but deep down, really, really deep down, they're on board. They're cool with it, There's a documentary that I'd like you to check out, Paul, since you recommended one to us. It's called Protagonist. And in this documentary, you get to share an interview with a terrorist, a member of the Baader Meinhof group, who kidnapped the OPEC representatives back in the 70s. The great thing about that interview in this documentary, once again the documentary is called Protagonist, is that you really get to see the progression of how someone becomes an international terrorist. You get to see how a regular small town boy grows up and decides, hey, I'm gonna join a terrorist cell. And what you find out is that the people who society considers villains really are just people who hold themselves to a stricter set of ethics. They're high-minded people. They're people with a moral compass. Let's look at the example of the first rebel, Lucifer. Right. First God creates the angels, and then He creates man, and He says, "Guess what, angels? You're not going to serve me anymore. You're going to serve these bipedal humanoids." And all the angels are like, "Yeah, okay, you're the boss. We serve men now." Except Satan. He says, "No, God, I only serve you. I'm not going to. I love you. You're the only one who I will give my allegiance and service to, not these mortals. Fuck them." And for that, cast down to the lake of fire. Well, I kind of diverged off onto a really esoteric rant here. I need to get back to the original point of the video. The point of the video, Paul, is that having a conscience makes you a bad person. Not really bad, like objectively bad, but subjectively, you're a villain. You're the bad guy. How does it feel? How does it feel to know that society's turned its back on you, that you are the outcast, that you belong in a prison or strapped to a gurney getting lethal injection? How does it feel to know that there's no going back? That you can never force yourself to enjoy the stupid, banal things that other people do, to take pleasure in the same things they do? How does it feel to know that everybody else is cool with invading Iran? They're just pretending they don't like it. How does it feel to be the bad guy? This is going to be a good thing for you, Paul. One of two things are going to happen. One, you're going to freak out and you're not going to be able to accept this, and you're going to try to force yourself to be something you're not. Or two, you're going to internalize it and roll with it. You're going to be the baddest bad mamma jamma you can be, and give the whole world the middle finger. I'm rooting for you, Paul. Great video. If anybody like this one, download it, re-upload it, mirror it, parody it, make it your own, because the folks at Google can't censor me unless you let them. Keep it smooth.